if you're using your learning content to answer your questions, like for your assessment, for instance. Okay, so you have the assessment and you learn from it. That's the source that you use to complete your assessment. You still have to cite that, okay? But all you have to put, let's see if it'll, so if I'm using my learning content, what I'm going to put is ANP1 learning content. Okay, so that would be your reference. You can just write ANP1 learning content, or you can put, let me get another box. Okay, or you can put ANP1 realize it. Okay, that's enough to cite for your learning content, and that's perfectly okay for me, because that tells me all you did was do your learning content, you use that information, and that's what you use to complete the assignment. Now, if you go to another source, okay, then you're going to have to completely cite it. So in the announcements, I put an announcement there for you that gave a little bit more information about how to cite sources and provided some examples. So let me bring that up. When you're looking for references, don't use Wikipedia. Okay, we're not going to use Wikipedia in here. It's not a reliable source of information. It can be edited by anyone. Okay, so we're not going to use Wikipedia in here. We're going to use other reliable sources. Okay, Healthline, Mayo Clinic, WebMD, journals, National Institutes of Health, CDC. Those are the types of things that we want to use when we're looking for references. Now, when you do a search on the internet for sources for information, of course, you have a web address. All right. Well, you can't just include the web address as a citation. That's not a proper citation. Okay. In a citation, we have to include the author's name, the date, the title of the article, the name of the website, and then include our web address. Okay, and that's what I've done here. You see, I found this article on blisters. So my author's name, I have her last name and then first initial. I have the date with the year first, and then the month, and then the day. The title of the article, it was just blisters, and I'm going to put that in italics. Then the name of the website where I got that was Healthline. And then I have the website address. Okay. So, if you can't find the author, because sometimes an author's not listed, especially like Mayo Clinic and different places like that, you can't always find an author. Okay. So here is another article on acne. And I looked everywhere on that website. I couldn't find an author and I couldn't find the date. Okay. So if we don't have an author, then we start with the title of the article. So the title of this article was Acne, Who Gets and Causes. Still going to put that in italics, and notice I only capitalized the first word. Everything else is lowercase. Okay. This one didn't have a date, so where the date would go, in parentheses, I put ND to stand for no date. But I still put the name of the website, okay, which was the American Academy of Dermatology Association, and I still include my web address. So even if you can't find an author, even if you can't find a date, you're going to have a title of the article, you're going to have the name of the website, and you're going to have the web address. So you should at least include those 3 pieces of information. Now, for every reference that you use, for every reference that you have at the bottom of your assignment, you also have to do an in-text citation. Okay? So an in-text citation goes in the paragraph with the information. Okay? So let's say I'm writing my paragraph about blisters. Okay? And in my first paragraph, I use information that I found from this Healthline article on blisters. So what I would do is, let me bring up my whiteboard again. So what I would do is, I'm going to say, let's say I say this. So I get some information from the article and I put it in my own words. I paraphrase it. Like, blisters are caused by friction. Okay, so that's the information that I got from that particular article. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, if I have more information in that paragraph from that author's article, then I'll put it at the end of the paragraph. But let's say that my whole paragraph, that's the only sentence I got from that particular article. What I'm going to do is, in parentheses at the end of that sentence, I'm going to put some in my parentheses, I'm going to put the author's last name. I'm going to put the year that article was written, which was 2019. So I'm going to say Ellis 2019, and that's my in-text citation. Okay. Okay. Well, let's say that I don't have an author and a date, like the second example I just showed you on acne. So let's say acne is caused by bacteria. Okay, that's the information I got from that particular site. So what I'm going to do for my in-text citation is, I'm just going to put the first word of the article. Now, this would be in italics, but since I'm in whiteboard mode here, it's not going to let me write this in italics. I would put acne, and then I don't have a date, so I would just put no date and close my parentheses. Okay? So there is a very handy-dandy reference that I use all the time. And it is called The Owl at Purdue. The Owl at Purdue. If you just open up Google and type in Owl at Purdue, you will get a website that's going to be your best friend when you're looking at doing citations. So let me share this with you. So I've done a Google search for my Owl at Purdue. So the first thing that comes up is Purdue Owl. So I'm going to go to this website, and OWL stands for Online Writing Lab. Okay. So this is one of the best references I've found for citations. So what you'll do is, you'll come over here and you see Research and Citation. You'll click on that. We're going to go to APA style, because that's what, let me close all these. Okay. We're going to go to APA style. Okay. We're going to go to Formatting and Style Guide. And then here's our in-text citations, and here's our reference list. So these are going to give you all of the rules for doing your in-text citations as well as your reference list. So if I go to Basic Rules, and it's going to tell me how to format the reference list, yada, yada, yada. And it's going to give us some just basics. But if I go to the specifics over here, like if I go to author/authors, then it gives me examples. Okay, this gives me examples on how to do this. Most of what y'all are going to have are going to be electronic sources. Okay, so if you go to the reference list for electronic sources, here you go. Web page or piece of online content. Here's your example. Okay, if it was written by a group, if you can't find the author, okay, can't find the date, okay. So these are, and of course we're not going to do Wikipedia, right? Now, if you find scholarly journals, sometimes you'll see a DOI assigned to it that looks like this. It'll say like DOI.org, and then it'll have a bunch of letters and numbers after it. If that's there, if you find an online article and that's there, go ahead and put the DOI with it. Okay, so I just kind of show you how to paraphrase. I just went to my article on blisters and I copied and pasted this into Word. So this is exactly what it says on the website. Okay, a blister is a small pocket of fluid, yada, yada, yada. Well, I'm not going to do that. I'm not just going to copy and paste. I'm going to have to put this in my own words. Okay, so let me kind of show you how I would put this in my own words. Okay. A blister is a small pocket of fluid that forms on an area of the body. These bubbles can vary in size and occur for different reasons. So that's kind of my first piece of information. So I'm going to put a blister is essentially a fluid bubble that can form anywhere on the body. Okay. So I've basically taken those first two sentences and combined them. But I put it in my own words. I've said the same thing. It's a fluid bubble that can form anywhere on the body, but it doesn't read exactly what's there. Okay? So let's look at the next piece there. You may develop one after a skin burn, infection with fungus or bacteria, insect bite, or trauma. Okay? So I can put something like blisters may form for various reasons, including burns, insect bites, infections, or injury. Okay? So again, I've said the same thing, but I've said it just a little bit differently. Instead of you may develop one, I put blisters may form. I still put in burns. I still put in infections. I still put in insect bites. Instead of trauma, I said injury. Injury is just another word for trauma, but now I've put it in my own words. So when you paraphrase, basically what you do is you take one sentence or one or two sentences at a time. Read them. Think about what they mean. Interpret them. What does this mean? That's what you're asking. What does this mean? And then you write it in your own words. You're basically interpreting the information.